Hey everyone, I'm Krexu, and welcome back to another video on this channel. Without further ado, let's jump right in. The first mod was suggested by a viewer, Jonathan. Thanks for the suggestion. Just in Nether is a really extensive mod that completely refreshes Nether exploration, making it way more advanced and just flat out better. The mod adds brand new creature species, new factions, new bosses, and additional resources that heavily impact the whole gameplay. The coolest feature of this mod is the completely new mob races, especially the Bulkins. These are monsters that look quite a bit like piglins, also inhabit the Nether, and share that same massive obsession with gold. Interestingly, the two factions don't get along and frequently get into fights with each other. This makes the Nether feel much more dynamic, as you can stumble upon actual clashes between these factions while exploring. Of course, that doesn't mean either side will be on your team, since you're just a common enemy to both. The mod also adds two new bosses. You'll need to gear up heavily for these fights because they're really tough and have their own special attacks, but the drop you get from them is totally worth it. It's a really nice addition because, let's face it, the vanilla Nether offers practically nothing outside of bastions and fortresses. On top of the new mobs, the mod adds a brand new ore that you can use to craft your own tools and armor. In my opinion, it's a really interesting and pretty heavily underrated mod for people who love exploring the Nether and want this dimension to be way more fleshed out. Mythical Weaponry J-Stuff is a really interesting mod that focuses mainly on adding new weapons, armor, and a few special mechanics inspired by Norse mythology. The mod adds a brand new boss that you can find in a special arena within the taiga biome. He's pretty tough, and his power revolves around dealing heavy damage by shooting lightning bolts. The most important feature of this mod is, of course, Thor's legendary hammer. You can find it in a special new structure that looks like an abandoned little house. Most importantly, you'll only be able to pick up the hammer after defeating the new boss. It's hands down the strongest and coolest item in the entire mod. You can throw it just like the real Thor, and by using the right combination, you can summon lightning strikes that deal some serious damage to enemies. Interestingly, if the hammer gets stuck somewhere or flies too far away, you can recall it right back into your hand. It does a great job of capturing the vibe of this legendary weapon and makes using it super satisfying. The mod also adds Thor's special armor, which you can get after killing the boss as well. In my opinion, it's a really good mod that doesn't add a ton of unnecessary items or mechanics, but is exceptionally well made and fun to play. Obscure Tooltips is a super useful mod that completely refreshes how item tooltips look, making the whole UI look way more modern and clean. The mod focuses on upgrading all tooltips, meaning what pops up when you hover over an item in your inventory. The biggest change is obviously the new style for displaying item info. Tooltips get much smoother animations, better text layout, and a cleaner overall visual design. This makes browsing your inventory a lot nicer, and all the information is way easier to read. The mod works perfectly with other mods that add new items, so even in larger mod packs, all of the tooltips look consistent and clean. Info about enchantments, stats, and other item properties is way better organized, making it easier to quickly find exactly what you need. In my opinion, it's the perfect quality of life mod that should be a must-have in every single mod pack. Immersive UI is a very simple but really awesome mod that improves the interface by adding smooth and eye-catching animations. For example, when moving items around or just hovering over them, the mod doesn't add anything to the regular gameplay. It solely focuses on adding various visual upgrades to the entire UI, making the game feel way more fluid. From now on, when you move items in your inventory, they react much more naturally, shifting slightly and scaling under your cursor. On top of that, dragging rare items with your cursor leaves behind a subtle particle trail, which looks really nice and, most importantly, isn't overdone. As if that wasn't enough, the hotbar has also been upgraded. Instead of the standard stiff snapping between slots, the selection moves smoothly, which looks a lot better. A really cool touch happens with items in chests. If you're holding a specific item in your hand that's also inside the chest, those items will start to float slightly. These are small details, but they're exactly what makes the interface look way more pleasing to the eye. Bubbles is a really interesting and pretty unusual mod that adds a completely new system to the game where you gather loot from huge bubbles appearing in both the overworld and the Nether. At first glance, it might seem a bit weird, but the mod actually introduces a lot of new mechanics related to exploration, loot, and even getting around the world. In the overworld, you can stumble upon special water bubbles that mostly spawn in groups and give you useful loot, which is especially helpful early on in the game. Aside from those, you'll also find much rarer chest bubbles that hide significantly better rewards. You can even run into bomb bubbles which explode on contact or when they take damage, so you have to be really careful around them. One misplaced hit on a bubble and you're dead instantly. The mod also adds nether counterparts for these bubbles. Over there, you'll find lava bubbles, which are often located in hard-to-reach places, like right over lava lakes. You can get valuable loot from destroying those as well. Interestingly, when the rare versions pop, they drop special chests that you first have to break to get to the contents inside. On top of that, you can craft things like a special grappling hook to pull chests or different kinds of mobs toward you. Of course, plenty of other items were added too. For example, the bubble net lets you catch bubbles and later use them for various status effects like fire resistance or extra oxygen underwater. Then, there's the bubble wand, which lets you create bubbles that float you upward, offering a really unique way to travel across the map. There are even more cool items included, but I don't want to spoil everything. In my opinion, this is a truly unique mod. I've never seen anything quite like it before, which is exactly why I decided to include it in today's video. Thank you guys so much for 2,000 subscribers. You're the best. Chat animation is another very simple but really nice mod that significantly improves how the chat looks, making messages appear much smoother. It's one of those small visual mods where, after using it for a bit, it's hard to go back to the standard stiff vanilla version. Instead of new messages just suddenly popping up on the screen, each one slides in smoothly with an animation. Because of this, the entire chat looks way more fluid and definitely better. Of course, the mod can be further tweaked through mod menu, so you can adjust how the animation works to fit your own preferences. A tiny mod, but I think it's definitely worth showing off because unfortunately, a lot of things in the game just don't have any animations and look pretty weak. Boing items is a nice mod that adds a small visual effect to the game, making all items dropped on the ground bounce for a moment instead of just landing stiffly in place. I know you guys totally didn't expect that from the name of the mod. It might seem like a very small change, but during normal gameplay, it really improves how the world and the whole game feel. From now on, for example, after cutting down a tree or defeating a mob, all the items gently bounce off the ground, creating a sort of quasi-physics effect. The biggest upside to this mod is exactly its simplicity. It doesn't add new blocks, items, or gameplay mechanics. It focuses strictly on one small visual detail that makes Minecraft look way more fluid and pleasing. Combined with the rest of the mods from today's video, it's gonna look really good. Potion Bar is an incredibly useful mod that improves the interface by adding a special bar that shows all your active potion effects. Thanks to this, you no longer have to constantly open your inventory to check how much time you have left on a specific effect. This is especially useful on multiplayer servers. The main mechanic of this mod is super simple. When you get any kind of effect, whether it's from a potion, a beacon, a golden apple, or any other source, it pops up on a special new bar. Each effect displays its icon along with the remaining duration, keeping all the most important info right in plain sight at all times. A huge plus with this mod is the ability to customize where the duration bar sits on your screen. You can set it to the left side, the center, or the right side. The mod is also very lightweight and client-side only, meaning it won't affect your game's performance or require server installation. It's a classic quality of life mod that simply makes daily gameplay much more convenient. Zrikon's Furniture Medieval is a specific mod for people who love building castles, medieval villages, and all kinds of atmospheric taverns. The mod adds a few new furniture pieces and decorations heavily inspired by the medieval style, making our builds look more realistic and just way better than using only vanilla blocks. The mod might not be the biggest, but it perfectly fits that medieval vibe. Interestingly, some of the added elements aren't just for decoration. Certain furniture pieces also have practical uses, so aside from looking good, they can actually be helpful during daily gameplay. The only thing I really deeply regret is the weapon racks. It's such a shame that when you put a weapon on the rack, it doesn't visually appear on it, but that's the only downside I see to this mod. In my opinion, it's an especially great option for anyone building larger medieval fantasy mod packs or medieval style roleplay servers. Yeah, I know there are a lot of mods in today's video that improve the game visually, but I just couldn't leave this one out. Explosive Enhancement Reforged is a really interesting mod that significantly upgrades all explosions in the game, making them way more spectacular, if I can call it that. A lot of people might not like this mod since the explosion effect is pretty specific, but I think plenty of people will find it right up their alley. We get two types of explosions, regular ones on land and underwater ones. The new underwater explosion animation creates a ton of bubbles, which looks way better than a standard explosion. It's definitely a perfect addition to the rest of the mods from today's video. I'm really glad you made it this far into the video. Don't forget to smash that like button and leave a nice comment below. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.